afternoon. I'm Miss Cressa Glenn, and I would like to talk to you today. I'm from LaVergne Lake Elementary, first of all, and I would like to talk to you about parenting. This is our Parent Power Hour, session number 4, and this is adapted from Kirk Martin's Calm Parenting and from some things that I try at home that are working well for us. First of all, I want to tell you that this portion is called Calm All the Time. Calm 24 hours a day. Let's start with, what does calm mean? Or what does calm not mean? First, calm does not mean that we're just happy clappy all the time, every day is good. Calm means that no matter what, you are calm inside and that you spread calm to others. Your environment or people or circumstances around you don't change your calm. No, you don't actually have to be Wonder Woman to achieve this. No superhuman abilities are actually required. Here are some key principles to remember that we try to be focused on. First of all, only control one. Only control one. I can only control myself. There is no one else that can control me, and I can't control others. I can only control myself. Number 2, make sure that you are proactive in everything. Number 3, there are absolutely no excuses. Number 4, recognize key trigger points and times of the day that are triggers. And number 5, allow no one else to control you. No power can be given to others, situations, or circumstances. Here are some tools to maintain 24 hours of calm in your home. Make sure that you have routines established, both for the morning, for the afternoon, and for the evening. Meet your child's needs for order, stability, and consistency. Live each day intentionally with purposeful missions to meet those needs. Those are some tools that I'm going to give you some activities to help with. My goal in life, my personal goal in life, is to be a blessing to other people and is to give and be a blessing to others. I can't do this unless I have wholeness and strength in myself. If I'm fatigued or emotionally depleted, I can't help anyone and I cannot be a blessing to anyone. I become resentful with all the chores and the jobs that I have to do around the house. I get angry and I start making demands and threats to others. Threats to my children. Get this done or else. And I just start getting frustrated. So I have to make sure that I myself am in a whole place and in a calm place. And to do that, here are some things that I do. Kirk Martin suggested these things, and some of them I felt like, oh my gosh, I'm already doing them myself. I have to start each day by making calm a main objective and a main priority. I have to take a lot of time in the morning to get myself reset so that I'm ready for the day to make calm. If you only have 3 minutes at least, you can give yourself time to reset, give thanks in the morning, get some exercise in. Well, not in 3 minutes, but if you have 3 minutes time to reset, you can reset yourself and give thanks and move on with your day. Of course, more time is better. Start your day with exercise. Exercise changes the morning. There's actually chemicals that are released from exercise that help you gain calm. You can read the paper, you can do devotions, you could just sit in silence for a little while. You have to do what calms you. I spend 30 minutes in the morning just doing devotions, and then I spend 30 minutes to an hour in exercise. And this really sets a good tone for me for the rest of the day. I notice the days that I don't get my exercise in, I know that these are days that could trigger some mishaps in the house, but I just realize that, okay, I haven't had my exercise, so I'm going to have to make sure that I get alone or move away from the environment if something starts to get triggering for me. I know that time is limited and more is better. I have to get up pretty early in the morning. I get up at 4 to be able to get these things done in the morning, but I realize that this is only a season. Later on, I'll be able to get up at 5 to get my calm going on. I think to myself, if I'm running late, what is the worst thing that can happen if I'm late? I've got to reset and make sure that I'm ready for the day, or I'm not going to be able to be a blessing for anyone. I have to control my own anxiety and my perfectionism because others are so depending on me and how I act. When I wake up my kids, if I'm in an anxious mood, they reject waking up and they curl up in a ball and I can't get them out of bed. So it's so important that I get rid of the anxiety before I go to wake my children up in the morning. Well, I have 3 children at home, which I wake them all up, so I have to make sure that I am calm when I'm waking them up. Your posture and your tone is so very important, especially in the morning. It's important to welcome children in a calm way and to always be consistent with this. I'd like to explain how I wake my children up in the morning. One thing I do is that I go and sit down on their bed because sitting says, I have time for you. I start with compliments and praise, and I praise their progress, not their perfection. I have to actually put a lot of intention into this. I think about when I'm walking down the hallway to go to their bedrooms to start waking them up. I start to think, what went well yesterday? What went well last night? And I even think about it the day before. I try to record things that went really well for them, or some ways that they were helpful or kind to others. And then that's what I start with the praise. I know this means so much to them when I praise them. It really starts them off in a good mood. Always remember their successes and ask a question that they may be interested in, not about school, but something that they are passionate about or something that they love. Remember that the sensory child, some children like to be touched, and a back rub or a little neck massage does a lot of good to help wake these children up. One of my children is a sensory child, and the other 2 respond better with verbal cues and verbal praise. And the one that's a sensory child, I just rub her little back and she arches up like a cat. This happened last time too. She arches right up like a little kitten. She's just so happy to be touched, and that right after she gets her little back rub, she just pops her eyes open and she's ready for the day. When I wake them up and I have this kind of relationship with them, it says to them that everything is okay today. And then after they know that everything's okay, it's easier for them to comply with what I'm asking them to do. So after my compliments and my little back massage for my sensory kiddo, if I say, okay, I need you to get up and I need you to put your clothes on and I'll meet you in the kitchen for breakfast. After I've built that rapport with them and the relationship with them and started them off with the praise, the compliance just seems to follow. There's also, when it starts getting warmer out, I want to try some of these ideas of going outside, having our breakfast outside. The air is refreshing. I know that when I do my exercise outside, sometimes it's kind of chilly, but it's so refreshing to just go outside and take a deep breath of fresh air and get started that way. You can have them play fetch with the dog. Our dog will fetch for hours, and the kids love to throw the stick for them. If you don't have a dog, maybe your kids could play this is Kirk Martin's idea, fetch with each other. If you are training, the thing to remember is this. If you're not happy with the outcome that you have in the morning, you've got to train for a different outcome. You need to do things differently. And they might be things that you might think, why would I do that? But just try them and see if this new training helps you with a different outcome. Make sure that you use few words in the morning. The fewer words, the better. When I'm asking them to go get dressed and meet me in the kitchen for breakfast, that's all I say. I don't go on with a lot of other words because they're just waking up and they don't want to hear a lot. I just want to give them specific directions so that they do what I need them to do. A big problem in our home are clothes. I think my children wear the same clothes over and over again. They like to be able to eliminate the unknowns in clothes. They know what certain clothes feel like on them, and they just want to wear them over and over. And one of the things that you can do that one of the sensory kid likes is when I put her clothes in the dryer, and this was also a Kirk Martin idea that I'd already been doing. I put her clothes in the dryer and I bring them to her, and she just loves the feel of her warm clothes when she puts them on. And when the kids wear the same clothes over and over, I just have to, it's really about me that I'm worried about them wearing the same clothes. It really doesn't matter to them. It's not about me. So I got to understand that they're going to change their clothes eventually, and once they meet someone they like, they'll probably be changing their clothes more often and changing the variety of their clothes. But for now, this is what they like to wear, and I got to just be okay with that. I think that it's important to stimulate their mind. You can do this when they're getting dressed. You can say, I wonder if you can get dressed all the way under your covers. Or Kirk Martin suggests underneath your bed. Sometimes I'll have them a little challenge. I'll say, I wonder which one of you can get dressed first. And they go about hurrying, scurrying along to see who can get dressed first. Or I make it with a challenge with me. I wonder if you can get dressed before I make it into the kitchen. I think some really important things to remember is that you give specific directions in the morning. That there aren't a lot of words, but the directions are very specific and to the point. You can even pace your children with music. Now, I haven't tried that yet, but I've done it in my own classroom, and that's worked very nicely. As I said before, time challenges against each other or with you. Have a list of AM activities. I like to have anchor posters in my classroom where I have the specific steps of a procedure for math or reading or language. Have a specific anchor poster or a list of what they need to get done right outside their door so they can go through and look at that themselves. We want them to eventually be independent. I don't like to tell them, okay, you brushed your teeth, now what do you do next? Now what do you do next? Next up, brush your teeth, brush your hair. I really want them to be more independent. So I'll ask them too, along with having a poster, I'll say, okay, I can see that you have your hair brushed. What else do you have to do? And let them rehearse what they need to do so they're doing it themselves and I'm not reminding them every single step of the way. Make sure that you have a place for everything. I'll say to them, where do your shoes live? Where do your clothes live? So that they know to put their things back where they go. And then they're able to find them in the morning. And they're always so happy, oh, I put my shoes where they live, and now I found them first thing in the morning. I'm like, yes, good, I'm glad you did that, because it's so helpful, especially with shoes, because shoes can seem to take off from each other from time to time. You can also do this, trade time for time. I'll say to my little girl, Bella, I'll say, Bella, if you get ready early, you can have some time on the Kindle. And she likes to watch little videos and things like that, and I'll tell her, if you get ready early, you get to have more time. Of course, you got to put boundaries on things. You don't want them waking up at 4:30 in the morning and getting ready just so they can have more time on the Kindle or on the computer. But this really helps her to get ready on time. I don't have to remind her any steps when I say you can have this time if you give me the time. You could, on the other side, I mean, those are good rewards, but you could have consequences on the other side. I'll say to my kids, all right, if you're not ready, or for every 5 minutes we are late, then I'm going to take time away from you. Maybe you won't have this time to do what you want to do. You won't have free time. You'll have time to do the dishes or chores that I need done. So make sure that you set up clear boundaries and that there are rewards. My kids always have done better if I praise them and I give them rewards for getting ready early. You can also put in your traditions here. One of the things that we like to do, we love to do on Friday, is we go visit Mr. Melvin at the donut shop on Friday. So I'll say, okay girls, it's donut day. Who's ready to get up? If you get in the car by 6:13, that's our magic number. If you get in the car by 6:13, we're heading off to see Mr. Melvin. And they are so compliant on those donut days. Here, these are basically a list of strategies, of things that I've tried and things that Kirk Martin suggested that I thought were helpful and that really stuck out for me. Things that I've used myself that I thought would be very helpful for you as well, because we all need more tools to be better parents. Nobody's perfect and everybody needs some tools. One of the things, these have to do with a lot with time management and with just getting kids to be more compliant. First of all, connect with your child. Connect with them before you command them to do something. Most kids that rebel crave your undivided attention. So if you are proactive in building the relationships with them and connecting with them, they'll want to be compliant and they won't want to rebel because you've already given that time to them. Make sure that you give them time to talk with you in the morning or throughout the afternoon. Don't wait till it's bedtime and say, well, I'll have time later. I just don't have time right now. Take 60 seconds or a couple minutes and just allow them to debrief you before you go into the day, into the school. Anxiety makes kids feel threatened. I have so many children in my classroom that are so anxious. They'll get stomach aches. They'll even not come to school because they're so anxious. When they feel threatened and they don't have time to talk to you before they come to school, then they come to school thinking of all those things that they're anxious about, and then they spend their day having trouble learning because they're so anxious. So give them the time to talk to you. These kids really like video games because if you think about it, they're so predictable. They give them rewards and they give them specific directions. The kids really like that. They like to have predictability and structure and know what's going to come next. Remember not to create any power struggles with kids. No one wins when there's a power struggle. I know this type of kid that they want to argue. If you tell them something, they'll say something back, and they're just waiting for you to fire back. But if you don't fire back, then there won't be a power struggle because it's just not necessary and nobody wins from it. Take an interest in their passions. This makes you on the same side. My son is really interested in race cars and airplanes. So whenever I talk to him, the first thing I want to see after school when I see him is I'll say, hey Jordan, what's going on with your race car? Or he talked to someone about airplanes the other day and I said, tell me how that went. Tell me all about that conversation. Taking time to connect with kids about their passions. I know that connecting with them will help them be more compliant. They won't be so quick to not do what you want them to do because they'll know I want to make my mom or my dad happy because I have a connection with them. Make meaningful connections. Ask about whatever they're interested in. Their games that they're playing, even if it's a video game, ask them which level they're on. Their books, what books they're reading, whatever they are interested in, make that connection. Make yourself available to them. Say to them, I'm going to be sitting at the table during this time. This is Kirk Martin's idea. I'm going to be sitting at the table at this time. If you need to talk to me, I'm going to be sitting there between this time, and you're welcome to come talk to me. I'll be there for you. This is for older kids because they can have that time and take it. That's the invitation. The invitation's out there for them. Be consistent with that so that you know that they know that you're going to be there for them if they need to talk. Make a specific time for them to share with you. Then you can deal with things proactively instead of after a meltdown happens, after anxiety builds up. You could also share some passions in the AM that they like to do. Just enjoy time with your kids. For older kids, recognize what they're gifted at. See if you can develop their gifts and their visions. I've been thinking about trying to find a place where my son can put in some time. He really wants to be a pilot, where he could put in volunteer time for a man or something like that that's a pilot, so that he can develop this gift and be excited about looking forward to new days. Give kids a job and with their talents, and that's what I was thinking with Jordan, that he could have time to develop his talent by having a job that's related to it. Another really important thing is that kids get protein and good fat and eggs and chicken and some good exercise, because these are all the things that we need to stimulate our brain. With exercise, there are immeasurable benefits. Even if you say, I want you to go out and run a couple laps around the house, around the outside of the house, while I make you breakfast. This does so much to relax these kind of kids. Remember not to have any emotional fires. Remember that your attitude has an inordinate amount of influence on your kids. Control your emotions. This is the maintaining the calm part. Remember, you are always modeling for your kids. Don't allow others to cut. You can allow others to cut in front of you in line. Say, here, would you like to take my place? Or come ahead of me. Everything we do, they are watching so closely and so carefully. Try to make someone else's day. Just exchanging pleasantries with another person in line. You are modeling for your child 24/7. Everything that you do, they watch and they listen. Your actions scream to them. When your words are a whisper, your actions scream. How to help? Now, one of the problems we've had from time to time is a lot of rambunctiousness in the car. We're in the car a lot, so there's time to aggravate each other, and there's time for them to act rambunctiously. Make one of them the navigator. Listen to the favorite CD. We love to sing in the car, and we'll listen to favorite CDs, and this really helps so they're not bored. Their brains get bored, and that's why they try to pick on each other, I think, in the car. Look for things along the side of the road. You can put headphones on them and have them listen to different things. Remember that everything is about choices. You have a choice to make. You can behave or not behave, and if you don't behave, there's a consequence. And I really like how Kirk Martin talks about promises. I promise there will be a consequence. I promise there will be a reward. Well, these are good suggestions, but I've had some times when things just got out of control. The kids decided to look for things aside the road, and one of them, they play the game, they call it slug bug, where we're from, and they would see a slug bug, and they'd sock each other in the arm, and it went back and forth for a while, until we went by a dealership that had slug bugs, or Volkswagens, and, well, it got out of control. so much that I had to pull the car over. At this point, I had to be the hammer. We're not going to move any further until both of you are in a different seat and seat belted. I had to interrupt this activity because it got so far out of hand with what they were doing. Sometimes you can't just be the navigator. Sometimes you really have to be the hammer and say, this is the consequence for what you did, and stop the car and reset everyone. We need to teach our kids that responses matter. Don't let anybody else have power over you. I feel like I am like a resounding gong with this, telling my children, no one has power over you. And they'll say, but my class, but another child. And I keep telling them, no one has power over you. And I hope that I say it enough that they finally know that when they think that someone else is controlling them, they can say, no one has power over me. I have power over myself, and I have power over my responses to other people. Calm people do not allow others to have power over them. We need to focus on the positive, especially in the car. When the car things are going good, you need to praise the kids right away. I like how you're acting in the car today. I like how you're singing that song. And everyone is getting along so well. They seem to chew on these compliments all day long, especially on the way to school when we have these positive conversations. They think about it, they go back to it during the day, and I really think that it helps them in the classroom when they know my mom thinks that I am outstanding at caring for others, or something that I did was caring or kind or courteous. Take care, remember that also one of the principles, take care of your needs. Make sure that you are happy. Make sure that you're relaxed, and make sure that you're energized when you deal with your family. If it means taking a nap, take a nap. If whatever it needs to be. I know that I have to get my exercise, and I know that I have to get my devotion time in, or I won't be able to have everything I need to be calm with my kids and my family, and they deserve that because, again, I want to be a blessing to them, not a curse. Also, don't suspect dishonorable motives. Even if a child has been untruthful before, make sure that you always assume that they are going to have honorable motives. Don't assume that everything that's going to come out of their mouth now is going to be dishonorable and that they're really doing something that's harmful to others. Remember that you determine how you act, not others. One idea that I have, that we're going to go this weekend and we're going to all purchase yoga mats. I got my own, and I just started doing the hot yoga, and my kids have taken an interest in my yoga mat. So I've decided that we're going to go get a couple more yoga mats, and this one of the things we're going to try in the morning is all of us to do some yoga. It's calming, it's relaxing, and it's a tradition that we can do together. Even if we just take 5 minutes and do a couple poses. Of course, you gotta have something that'll fit into your schedule. If it doesn't fit in the morning, find another time in the evening or something when it all fits together for your family. You can also have swings in your yard that you do together, trampolines. Another thing you can do is you can take your schoolwork outside the house. Go to McDonald's and do your schoolwork. One thing we're going to try is we're going to go over to Barnes & Noble and do our schoolwork, because then we can pick up new books while we're doing our schoolwork. Make sure kids have an opportunity to volunteer somewhere, especially somewhere that they like. My oldest daughter, who's 21, loves animals. So when she was a teenager, we did a volunteer project, her and I together, at the rescue for cats and dogs. It was kind of not that fun because we had to clean animals' cages, but we did it together, and we got to just be together doing something for somebody else that didn't have to do with ourselves. make sure that you have some kind of mentor for your kids with whatever they're interested in. My Willow, one of my daughters, is interested in horses. And she is a mentor that loves horses and that has a lot of horses at her house, and she's been doing the horseback riding lessons. I think that after school is another time that could be a meltdown time. School is very taxing mentally. I know, I've been there all year. This is my 18th year of teaching, and I know that it can be incredibly taxing. So know that when your child comes home, that they are probably emotionally and mentally exhausted. School is stressful. They're processing information all day long. Quick recall is important. They have to get their assignments done on time. Everything has a time and a space, and it's it's all quick and rapid. So after school should be a time where they just get to be themselves and just take some time to relax and calm. Know that some of our kids that are like this, that need help, are intellectually advanced but emotionally behind. They may have sensory issues and anxiety, and the last thing they want to be asked is, how was school today? Because that's not a place where they are always successful. So make sure you start with a question about their passions first. Remember, school doesn't always play to our kids' strengths. My kids are very creative and outgoing, and sometimes the outgoing and the creative is just a little bit too much for the classroom, and they're not successful because of these things. So find their interests first, and then focus on school. Some kids just need to sit in quiet and get some calming done before they move on to homework. Just provide that time so that they can do what they need to help them be successful. Ask questions that they are interested in with no pressure and no anxiety. Remember, again, exercise is so important. Take those kids out and let them ride their bikes. I love to push my kids and not tell them how far they're going to go. And I'll say, okay, will you keep Mama running for a while? And then we'll get almost there and they're just really pooped out. And they'll say, how far did I go? And I'll say, oh, you went 4 miles. And they'll be like, Mama, I can't believe you did that. But vigorous exercise is fine and it's healthy for them. And it lets the pressures and anxieties of the day roll off. Remember, you have to model this. I hope that someday my kids will love to run as much as I do, and I just keep modeling for them and hoping that someday they will, and I think they will. Another important time of the day is when the dad comes home. When my husband comes home, he can be tired, but he still just grabs our kids and loves on them. And I think it's so important that the first thing when they see their dad, that they get that time together, that they're not coming home you're coming home to spank the child or discipline them in some way, that they have that positive connection just like they do with their mom, so that they know the mom and dad are connected with them and that they are on their side. The measurement stick for parenting, I believe, is your behavior. Can you be calm in the middle of a storm? My job is to control myself. It's not always easy, but it's powerful. Because I set the tone in the home. Make sure that you make these connections with your husband so that they know that you two are a united front. And if you don't have a husband, make sure that you have time for you so that you can reset yourself. 3 minutes of relaxing time will save hours of chaos throughout the night. Another part of the day that can be somewhat challenging is dinner time. Dinner time does not have to look the same for everyone. I remember watching Leave It to Beaver, and they would all sit around the table, and they would all talk and exchange their pleasantries from the day. But this is not what every family looks like. Some parents can have their kids eat before they eat. That's so that they can have a peaceful, calm time together. Sometimes a child might eat a little while and then go run off and then come back and eat a little more. It won't always be this way. This could be just a season. Let them do that, as long as that is fine with you. We have to model appropriate ways to eat at the table with whatever your requirement is. If you want them to sit still and not move at the table, then you have to model that behavior for them, continually modeling and reinforcing what behavior you want them to do. I want to make sure that my kids eat healthily, so I'll pile my plate up with a bunch of broccoli and sit there and eat broccoli, and I think just seeing the broccoli there is good for them, just modeling that this is healthy eating. One of my children loves to read. She's read, oh my gosh, she's actually filled my whole classroom up with a library of books because she's read so much. She used to read at the dinner table. I think that that's fine for kids to read at the table. Just set parameters and boundaries and say, okay, will you put your book down for 5 minutes, and then you can have 5 minutes to read. You want to be able to enjoy dinner with whoever is at the table. If some of the kids leave, enjoy who's there. Just seeing you talking to the other kids that are there is a good model for how the other kids should be. Make sure that you set clear expectations and boundaries. Always give your energy into the positive. I love how you're sitting there. I love how you cleaned your plate, and I really like it the way that you put your plate in the sink. You could, some kids could do their homework while they're eating. Chewing actually stimulates the brain, so this could be a good time for kids to eat. Again, it doesn't have to look the same in every family. Some of my kids have been picky eaters. Well, you can determine however you want it to be. For me, I don't like to cook a lot of different things, so I'll say, if you don't like what I made, then you're going to be hungry the rest of the night. So you choose to eat or you choose to be hungry. Or if that doesn't work for you and you want to just make something else, that's fine. It really has to be with however you want it to be. Make sure again that you model healthy eating. Evening time can be a time for homework. It can help you, can be a time for routines and traditions. It can be, make sure that you build those traditions in there. Songs, maybe a bath with candles, whatever helps them decompress from the time that they go to bed between dinner time and bedtime, that they have a time to relax and decompress from the day. Always watch your own anxiety. 90% of kids have trouble with sleep and bedtime, and actually we can contribute to that with our own anxiety because they watch us so carefully. Remember that bedtime begins in the morning. Making connections and giving an emotional thought to their emotions from the beginning of the day helps them rest better in the evening. Make sure that you let them process their needs in the morning and throughout the day so it doesn't happen at bedtime, because that can make bedtime difficult. We can sabotage our own children getting to bed on time just because of when they need to decompress and talk to us. If we don't allow that to happen till the end of the day, then that can sabotage bedtime. Make sure that you identify what is the root problem at bedtime. What is the problem that's keeping them from getting into bed? Attack the root of the issue. Maybe it's that they just need to get their last of their thoughts out. Make sure you provide a journal or even a tape recorder so they can put their thoughts down on paper or they can record their thoughts. Kids have a need for stimulation. Some kids do. Some kids go to sleep better with a fan running, a radio. They might just like the white noise of hearing what's going on in the other room. Some kids need absolute quiet. Just determine what is the issue or what is the need so that my child can get to bed and not have issues about going to bed. Some kids that are real sensory, I can think of two of my kids that are very sensory. They like to have the feeling of tight around them while they're sleeping. The cat, they like the cat sleeping on top of them, and they take their bedding and they wrap themselves up like a mummy, and they just have like one little breathing hole. So when I get to them in the morning, they're just wrapped up so tight. They like this pressure on them. That's what they need. And those are the ones that a little back massage calms them. Make sure that these sensory kids, their needs are met. Also, again, the back rubs or the pressure massages, those help them in the morning to wake up, but they also help in the evening to get to sleep. Make sure that bedtime is not a funeral march, that it's something that's exciting and fun. My kids love to read at night, so I'll tell them, you want to go to bed so that you can read? And they'll say, yes, let's go to bed and read. They love reading biographies, and they're by no means perfect, but they do like that, and that's something they enjoy. Find something that they really enjoy. Maybe they like to read, listen to music, whatever they like, so that they can look forward to bedtime and not feel like it's a dread or something that they don't like to do. If there are fears, I know my kids have always been afraid of the closet being open, or maybe even just that there's something in their room that they're afraid of. You need to treat those fears like they're real. Take action against those fears in concrete steps. And if you pray, if that's what you do, then do that, or just physically fight the battle that needs to be battled over whatever's lurking in the room. Our kids, some of them like to stay up later when they like this world that is quiet and settling and peaceful for them in the evening. Try making that time, just make their bedtime a little bit earlier so that they have this time. It's really not worth the fight to fight over bedtime. It's not worth it. We need to make them so that they're internally motivated to go to bed. Remember that age and maturity changes everything. I can remember when my little girls were 1 and 2 and they wouldn't sleep in their bed, and I would just prop myself against their doorway, and I kept putting them in bed, trying to get them in bed. Well, that was so many years ago, and I think that was just a season, and it passed, and I'm glad that it's not back here. But if I think of something that happens now, I think, well, that will be a season too, and that'll pass, and then we'll have something new to deal with. We have to make a conscientious effort to stay calm. We have to say calming things to our kids, and you just really have to put a lot of thought into, what am I going to say? Taste your words before you spit them out. Time spent up front with your kids will yield huge benefits in short time, in everything that they do. If they know that that you are committed to them and committed to being consistent and calm, then they are willing to do so much more for you. Kids can't control your emotions. Remember that. The kids don't control your emotions. You need to model that for them. We control our own emotions. Don't let what their behavior is control what you do, because then you'll be feeling guilty and sorry for that later, or saying, oh, I guess I blew up on that one. And I don't want to have to say I'm sorry. So what I want to do is be proactive and control my own emotions. I'm the older person. I should be able to do this. Again, your actions scream louder than your words. Leaders lead by example. I am the only one that I can control. And I say this to kids all day long. I have to say it to myself. I can't control that person. I can provide consequences and rewards for them, but overall, I can only control myself. Make sure you walk the talk. Very helpful in preparing for these parenting series is that I have learned so much in the way that I need to be, and I've learned from Kirk Martin different things that I need to do, but most of all, if I'm going to say it, then I've got to walk it out. One of my daughters said, "Mommy, you've really changed since you've been listening to those CDs," and I am so happy to hear that my own kids can notice a change in me. Remember to be specific when you're asking them to do chores or bedtime behavior and procedures. Everything, make sure that you are specific so that they know exactly what's defined, what they need to do. Oh, another thing that really helps them is that we're planning different things to do on the weekend. It's not that we just let things happen anymore. We're talking on Thursdays and Friday nights about what are we going to do for this weekend. We've got spring break coming up. What are some things we're going to do? If you plan these activities, then they have something to look forward to. Make these weekends with order, have them be ordered and purposeful. Make the plans so that things can get done and that you can have an enjoyable time together. This last weekend, I didn't have anything planned, but I was open for some good plans, and we went for a hike up at the lake, and I took pictures, and we just enjoyed each other, and I cherish those times with the kids. Remember to eliminate surprises by setting the plan ahead of time, that the kids, they really do a lot better if they know the plan, what's going to happen. Develop traditions that you do on the weekends or after school. We know that we attend church, we go for walks, we make time to play fetch in the yard with the dog, and we spend a lot of time at the bookstore, at the used bookstore. We make time to do what's fun together. And above all, be intentionally calm. Set a goal for each day, and then at the end of the day, rate yourself. How did I do? Then keep record. Because if you can see that you're not perfect, that you're making progress, that's what everything is about. And that's how you don't need to have superhuman attributes to be calm. And you don't have to be Wonder Woman. All you have to do is take one day at a time. Rate yourself. Today I'm a 5. Today I'm a 10. Whatever you are, write it down and look at how many days that you were calm with your children. And bless you, and have a good afternoon, evening, morning, and be calm. Thanks.